Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we are playing Phantom Knights. Now Phantom Knights is a fun, interesting deck that involves a lot of extension, a lot of searching, and a lot of using your materials both on the field and in the graveyard. It recently got buffed, and there's a pickup box coming out that's going to have all the Phantom Knights cards in it for super cheap, so you'll be able to get them if you never got them before. And that's why I want you to take a look at this deck and see if you're interested in playing it. So let me teach you how to play Phantom Knights. The skill is called Treason Phantom, and what it does is you can reveal 2 Phantom Knights monsters or Phantom Knights spells and traps from your hand, return one of them to the deck, and send the Phantom Knights monster from your deck to your graveyard. Then during this turn, you can treat your Phantom Knights monsters as level 4 while you Xyz summon Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. You can also remove 2 materials from Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon and increase its attack points by 500 until the end of the turn. But during your opponent's next turn after you activate this effect, you can only activate your Xyz monster's effects one time. The reason why we want to detach materials from our Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon is because the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic launch requires our Dark Xyz monster to have no Xyz materials. That's a benefit to us. We'll get there. For the main deck, we have the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. If this card is in attack position, you can target one dark monster you control, change this card to defense position, and if you do, that monster gains 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's next turn. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to add the Phantom Knights monster from your deck to your hand. This is a hard once per turn. This is a very good card. We will usually use this with the skill. Mill it, banish it, add either the Silent Boots from our deck to our hand, or if we already have Silent Boots, we'll probably grab Stained Greaves. It's really good, and you'll enjoy it a lot. The Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves, a Dark Xyz monster that was Xyz summoned using this card as material on this field gains this effect. If it is Xyz summoned, it gains 1,000 attack points permanently. You can banish this card from your graveyard to send one Phantom Knights card from your deck to your graveyard. Each effect is a hard once per turn. So the first effect of Ragged Gloves does not really benefit us that much because we'll usually use it to go into Break Sword and then immediately destroy Break Sword. And then if we Xyz summon it again, we don't get the effect. But in the specific scenario where our opponent makes no monsters and passes to us, we can use the skill to go directly into Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon with 3,500 attack points, then detach the 2 materials with the skill, raise it to 4,000 and go for lethal. It's a rare circumstance, but it is an option, and it's nice to have it. Milling, you're going to usually mill your traps so that you can then banish them to special summon from the graveyard. The Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, if you control a Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add one Phantom Knights spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So what you will do with this card is you will draw it off the skill, special summon it along with one of your other monsters, go into your Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, use the skill, detach both materials, then banish Silent Boots from your graveyard to draw your Rank Up Magic launch and go directly into your Dark Requiem. That's your turn 1. It's extremely consistent and very powerful. The Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. If a Phantom Knights monster is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can increase the level of this card by 1. That's not required, it's just an option. You can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one Phantom Knights monster from your hand, except Stained Greaves, then you can increase its level by 1. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this card is nice for surprising your opponent. It gives you lethal if you bring out your Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, and you also summon this card because it has 1,200 attack points. And it can allow you to get some nice extension from the graveyard if your opponent is controlling the board. Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic launch. During the main phase, you can target one Dark Xyz monster you control with no Xyz materials and special summon from your extra deck one Dark Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher by using it as a material, and if you do, attach this card as an additional material. You can banish this card from your graveyard during your main phase to target one Dark Xyz monster you control, and attach one Phantom Knights monster from your hand to that monster as material. Okay, so we will use this to go into our Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon will have 2 materials, this card and the Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. That gives us 2 monster negates. Fantastic. This is a very good card. I'm so glad that it is unlimited so that we can now play it with Rhoda. You will see this card a lot. Speaking of Rhoda, add one level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand, draw whichever Phantom Knight you need, and it'll work just fine for you. Forbidden Lance, Typically, when we get Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon on the field, we will win the game, so we want Forbidden Lance to make sure that our Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon is not removed from the field. It's a great card. Running at 3. Xyz Import. This is my favorite tech for this deck. It's a free card that you got from the Alito event, and you can target one Xyz monster you control and one monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. Attach that opponent's monster to your monster as material. Amazing. Not only is this excellent removal that denies your opponent the chance to use the monster in the graveyard, but you can then use it as an additional negate on your Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, because Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon's monster negate is not a hard once per turn. As long as you keep having materials, you can keep negating and destroying monsters. So this one card gives you a removal as well as a negate that also destroys. It's the most efficient card in the entire deck, and it's fantastic in Phantom Knights in particular. I hope you guys use it. Wing, this allows us to target one face-up monster on the field. It gains 500 attack permanently. Also, the first time it would be destroyed by battle or card effect. This turn, it is not destroyed. That's a lingering effect. It can't be negated. It's really nice. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target one Phantom Knights monster in your graveyard, and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, this is a great extension. It allows us to get back our Break Sword, for example, to give us lethal, and you will do that a lot. Sword is the same thing. The target gains 800 attack points as long as Sword is on the field. And if the target would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy Sword instead. When the monster leaves the field, you destroy this card. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one Phantom Knights monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, same thing, you just mill one of these cards with the Ragged Gloves, and you get an additional extension. If you manage to get both of them in the graveyard, you can get an extra Xyz summon. Really, really nice. Definitely don't sleep on these cards, but they only need to be run at 1. For the extra deck, we have our Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. If this card has Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon as Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack. So this is basically the effect of Dark Rebellion, but doubled. And then during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can special summon one Xyz monster from your graveyard. So if you went into Break Sword to get to the Rebellion, you have the Break Sword in the graveyard that you can revive. If it's your last material, you can revive the Rebellion Dragon that you detached. It's really strong, and it's not once per turn, so you can just keep negating your opponent's monster effects, destroying their monsters, and win the game that way. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, we have to play this card to play the deck. It's a good boss monster, and it's free, because it's in the Odd Eyes deck that you got for free back in May. So, enjoy. Nightmare Shark, this has 2,000 attack points, and you can detach one material from it to make it attack directly for this turn. That's great. Our opponents are paying life points like crazy these days. If your opponent happens to play 2 Cosmic Cyclones on you, cool, go for lethal. It's a sneaky little way to end the game. Malevolent Sin, this requires 2 level 4s, so you can only make it after Break Sword, but it will definitely end games as well. Just punish your opponent who's being not careful with their life points. Lastly, we have the Phantom Knights of Break Sword. This requires 2 level 3s. As a soft once, you can attach one Xyz material from this card, target one card you control and one card your opponent controls, and destroy them. If this Xyz summon card is destroyed, you can target 2 Phantom Knights monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them, and increase their levels by 1, but then you're locked into darks for the rest of the turn. So, you make this card first, so that you can pop your opponent's spells and traps, or any of their dangerous monsters, and then you can bring both the materials back and immediately go into Dark Rebellion. This is a great card. You will make this card basically every game. It's going to win you the game 90% of the time, and it's a terrifying monster for your opponent to face. Look out for this card getting banished, because whenever it gets banished without being destroyed, like for example with Karma Cut, it doesn't trigger. But if they bottomless trap hole it, it still triggers. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the replay. Fair warning, I usually try to keep my replays simple, but there was no benefit to doing that for Phantom Knights, so this one's going to go a little bit in depth. Now my opponent is playing Tenyi, and I don't need to cover anything that he's doing. He's going to make his end board of Draco Berserker and Berserker with Mapura in the graveyard. We'll cover the end board when he's done. How you guys doing? Enjoying the stream? Enjoying the video? I hope so. I'm doing my best to try and make content engaging for you, unlike this 10e player. Okay. Alright, so my opponent has a 3000 attack monster that can banish a monster that activates an effect, and a 3000 attack monster that if I target it, the targeting will be negated and the card will be destroyed. He also has 6000 life points. I don't know what the last card in his hand is, but I'm going to assume that it's Shithana this entire game. So it's my turn. I draw and I have the perfect hand. So we're going to normal summon Ragged Gloves and special summon Silent Boots. This is an inherent special summon. You don't see any colon here. So it's not an effect. My opponent can't activate Draco Berserker to banish it. Then I'm going to activate Phantom Knight's of Stained Greaves' effect to special summon itself from the hand. That is an inherent. That is an effect, and my opponent does not banish it for some reason. Okay, we're going to activate Rhoda and draw our Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. Then we activate the skill. We reveal the 2 cards in our hand, and then we return Ancient Cloak to the deck to mill it. Now we will go into our Phantom Knights of Break Sword, and that is a bait for our opponent. Our opponent does not want that card to resolve, so they are going to go ahead and banish this card before its effect can activate. Now it's important to note that they are able to banish because of the Ragged Gloves. So I use Ragged Gloves, therefore it gets the effect where it gains 1000 attack points, so I don't get to target his Draco Berserker and pop it. If I had made this card without using Ragged Gloves, then I would have been able to just target pop, and then if he had banished it in response, then that wouldn't have stopped the effect from resolving, but it would have stopped the monster from being banished, but that's fine. I was trying to bait him regardless, so I don't care if this effect goes off or not. Alright, I activate Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves from my hand. I'm going to banish Stained Greaves from the graveyard to special summon Ragged Gloves, and then I can Xyz directly into Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon because I used the skill already. I'm going to activate Dark Rebellion's effect, detach 2 materials to target the Draco Berserker and reduce its attack points by half. My opponent reveals the other card in their hand, which is not Shithana. It is, in fact, DD Crow. So my opponent is going to banish the Silent Boots from my graveyard to then prevent me from searching Rank Up Magic Launch. This is a good effect. My opponent is playing very well. But it's fine because I have a Ragged Gloves in the graveyard, so I'm just going to mill the Silent Boots off of that. I draw Rank Up Magic Launch, which I will now activate and go directly into my Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. Then I activate its first effect. I detach 1 material to target the Draco Berserker yet again, reduces attack points to 0, and steal all of its original attack points. So basically you can bully the same monster, even though I already stole half its attack points, it cares about original attack points. So I steal all of my opponent's attack points, 3,000 from him to 3,000 to me. I attack into him, and I deal 6,000 damage in 1 hit. I didn't target his Berserker at all. I didn't destroy his Berserker. I played around Shithana, I played around Mapura, I played around Nahana, and I just went directly into the Draco Berserker for lethal over 6,000. That's how you play Phantom Knights. I hope you guys enjoy the deck and the replay. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.